Hi, my name by birth Alex William Smith, although I am better known these days as Royle Hypnotist of magicalguru.com. Now, my quest for truth and justice is located at circusofthemind.net. But let me tell you a little story, or rather have you imagine something. If I was to say to you that somebody was charged by the police for alleged delivery of counterfeit coins, and that then they were imprisoned for 2 counts of apparently delivering counterfeit coins, and that imprisonment ruined their life, you might think, well, shouldn't have done it. But then, if I was to say to you that this was a malicious prosecution, and by that I mean both the police and Crown Prosecution Service knew in 1998 when they charged the individual, and in 1999 when it got to court, the police and Crown Prosecution Service both knew, and indeed they'd known since 1994, a number of years earlier, that the chief witness, the main witness for the prosecution, namely the fake Sheikh Mazza Mahmood, yes, Rupert Murdoch's now disgraced former journalist for the News of the World and later the Sun on Sunday, had been identified already in 1994 due to the collapse of a court case. The police and CPS had communicated with each other in writing and stated that he could not and should not ever be relied upon as a witness of truth. Despite that, they carried on allowing cases to go to court and people to be wrongfully charged based on his perjurous lies and his unlawful, dishonest, and often, I would argue, illegal actions. And there were other cases that also collapsed before the counterfeit coins case got to court in 1999. And yet, none of these collapsed cases prior to the 1999 counterfeit coins trial, and none of the cases after that, up to the point of 2014, when Talisa Kontos-Tavlos's alleged drugs trial collapsed because Mahmood was exposed as a liar on the stand by the judge. This was something that was already known by the police and Crown Prosecution Service back in 1994. In other words, it wasn't disclosed to Talisa either. Otherwise, a case should never have got to court because the principal witness had already in writing, the police and CPS writing to each other, had stated in 1994 he could not and should not ever be relied upon as a witness of truth ever again. Yet that was never disclosed to me. Yes, that's right. It's me that was the counterfeit coins trial case, as explained at circusofthemind.net. But the truth is, I was trying to expose the dishonesty of Mazza Mahmood. It's stranger than fiction story. The full details are at circusofthemind.net, but the key points are this. The police and Crown Prosecution Service knew in 1994 he could not and should not ever be relied upon as a witness of truth ever again in any cases. Yet they carried on turning a blind eye. But they never disclosed that collapse case or any of the other collapse cases to me, to Talisa, or to any other wrongfully accused victims of the fake Sheikh Mazza Mahmood's perjurous lies. And it is quite clear to see, based on evidence that I managed to obtain when I took my civil case, Alex Smith versus Newsgroup Newspapers, that was filed on the 30th of September 2022, which Newsgroup Newspapers settled by way of weaponising a Part 36 offer to effectively silence me and keep me out of court in late 24. And then in early 25, they issued me a private letter of apology, an apology for their journalist actions. In the case that led to the newspaper article full of lies, that led to me getting wrongfully convicted with now 2 unsafe convictions based on Mahmood's perjurous lies, and as the stuff I got in disclosure in Alex Smith versus Newsgroup Newspapers, including covert videos, covert audio recordings, photographs that were taken by private investigators without my knowledge, other stuff obtained by private investigators on unlawful information gathering techniques without my knowledge, receipts galore of proof of such unlawful activity. None of that was ever disclosed by Mahmood or his team to the police or Crown Prosecution Service. So therefore, he helped cause a malicious prosecution, which was further turned into a malicious prosecution by the fact that the police and Crown Prosecution Service already knew he should not and could not be relied upon as a witness of truth, and yet they continued to press forward with his alleged evidence, which they knew couldn't be relied upon. And to make matters worse, they did not disclose any of the collapse cases before, during or after to me, to Lisa or any other fake Sheikh victim. When you think it just sounds ridiculous that this couldn't happen. Over the years, consistently, fake Sheikh victims have asserted time and time again that they believe their drinks were drugged by Mahmood. Talisa asserted it. I asserted it. Emma Morgan asserted it. Herbie Hydes asserted it. Earl of Hardwick and Stephen Twaits asserted it. Tons of people. John Higgins, the snooker player, asserted it. Lawrence Delagio asserted it. There's details and links on circusofthemind.net that lead to details of that. It's all out in the public domain. And yet, that kept getting fobbed off by the courts. Yet I now have a witness statement from one of Mahmood's former associates saying he witnessed Mahmood drugging people's drinks during the course of stings. Further, the covert videos that I got during Alex Smith versus NGN of the sting operation, which was actually me trying to expose Mahmood's dishonesty, but it turns out they were 50 steps ahead of me, as explained at circusofthemind.net, because I didn't know they were hacking my phone, tapping my landline and having me followed by private investigators, and that my former publicist was actually getting paid thousands of pounds to socially manipulate me, to make me believe I was going to expose the dishonesty of Mahmood, but in actual fact to stitch me up and get one over on me because they didn't want They didn't want the spotlight shining on Mahmood's dishonesty or techniques, otherwise it could have uncovered a massive can of worms back in 1998, far bigger than I ever imagined. I didn't realise until 2021 that my phone had been hacked, landline tapped, and that had been followed by private investigators and such like. But anyway, all that's explained at circusofthemind.net. The point is, he drugged my drinks, and I've now got video footage that shows his team mixing a jug of vodka with a jug of orange juice. Rather than ordering drinks separately, he mixed them at the time. Why? Well, again, go to circusofthemind.net. Witness testimony, sworn statement I've got that's now gone to the Criminal Case Review Commission from one of his former associates say that he was witnessed drugging people's drinks during the course of a sting, and that Mahmood also boasted about drugging people's drinks in the dating arena. I've got the proof that he used unlawful information gathering, phone hacking. Now with the videos and audios having been compared to the actual fabricated nonsense article they printed that alleged I was a drug dealing, counterfeit money supplying, Uzi gun salesman, pimp and pornographer, you see that I never said on the videos or the audios anything in the manner that they actually printed it. They either spliced things together or just created things entirely that were never said. None of this was looked at properly by the police or CPS. They turned a blind eye. They should have immediately gone, oh no, another Mazza Mahmood thing, because they, as I said, stuff has now come out in the High Court in the mobile telephone voicemail interception litigation, documents that for some reason were in Newsgroup newspapers' archives of the Metropolitan Police and the Crown Prosecution Service communicating with each other, stating that due to a collapsed court trial in 1994, Mazza Mahmood could not and should not ever be relied upon as a witness of truth ever again. I now have an apology from Newsgroup newspapers for their journalist actions, which further illustrates the fact that Mahmood never told the police or the CPS the truth, so the prosecution against me was malicious. The fact that the police and CPS knew of multiple collapsed cases and they never disclosed such to me. If they disclosed those things to me, then I would never have changed my plea, because I did plead not guilty up until the very first day of trial, where I was told that because Mahmood's sources would be protected, that he wouldn't have to reveal who his sources were, and therefore I wouldn't likely fail this head with an entrapment defence. The thing is, I was the source. He had no prima facie evidence of any wrongdoing, as is proven by the documents that I've got from disclosure showing in their files the letter, the anonymous letter that was apparently sent tipping them off about me Well, actually, that was manufactured by me as a media sting. It's all explained at circusofthemind.net. It's stranger than fiction, but the fact is this. Malicious prosecution, lack of disclosure of the police and CPS, my drinks were drugged, phone hacked, unlawful information gathering news, things published that I never said or did. The coins were never forensically tested. The chain of evidence on the coins, well, there wasn't one. Mahmood illegally kept hold of the coins for 17 days and 10 days respectively from the final meetings. It's all explained at circusofthemind.net with no lawful or legal excuse, and yet he never got charged for that. And there's no proof that the coins he gave to the police were the same ones that I picked up from the source where they told me where to get them from. They gave me the money up front to make it happen. It's bonkers. Check out circusofthemind.net. It's a stranger than fiction tale, but it's all back with cast iron evidence. That's why since the 3rd of February it's been with the Criminal Cases Review Commission for them to look at. Can I have so much new, fresh evidence, witness statements galore and stuff, including the Crown Prosecution Service in late 2025 categorically in writing refused to engage with me any further, refused to disclose anything about collapse cases, and said that because I'd pled guilty that they weren't going to disclose anything. Well, the fact is I only pled guilty on the first day of trial after receiving bad advice, and more importantly, because you, the Crown Prosecution Service and the police, never disclosed to me all the collapse cases that had happened before. And you're supposed to have a duty to, under CIPA 1996 rules, to let me and other victims know about any collapse cases or other evidence that might affect the status of convictions. Well, the fact is other cases collapsed due to Mahmood's dishonesty and lies after I was convicted that I should have been notified of. And yet I got zero disclosure until the collapse of the Talisa trial in 2014. Which was a tiny little bit about the Talisa trial. You didn't even take that opportunity then to let me and other victims know about all the cases you knew about. Why the cover-up? Why the turning of the blind eye? Why the lack of disclosure? Go to circusofthemind.net.